Hello, Austin J. Haynes here, your breakthrough strategist, creator and founder of Flashpoint, coming at you during the wee hours because this is in response to a conversation with a friend, and it's something that's been on my mind, and I wanted to take a few minutes here, burning the midnight oil almost. If you're watching this, you too are burning the midnight oil, or you're in a different time zone. So you might be listening to me and catching me in a different time zone. Either way, I welcome you in. And one of the things that I haven't heard a lot talked about is relationships. Relationships during the quarantine, I believe, are being tested at a deep level. And the one thing that I wrote down about relationships is that the normalcy, is that a word? I'm making up words here, but the going to work and the routine, I should say the daily routine, kind of can keep the relationship in balance. But now people are home together more. And that balance that was created, that time away, created a balance. And now you have people that are spending more time together than they maybe have in a long time. And that can be a good thing, but it could also be a not so good thing. So the day-to-day going to work, the taking care of the kids or whatever, could have created a balance that has now been disrupted going on, whatever, how many days. Somebody could type in, how many days have we been in quarantine now? So how's this affecting relationships? How are you being affected? And if you're single, how's that affecting you in terms of your relationship with yourself? Maybe you're starting to think more about relationships. So I just wanted to bring this topic up in response to a conversation with a friend of mine. And she basically said to me, like, you need to do something on relationships. Like, why are you not doing something on relationships? People need to be talk through the need support in relationship area, specifically on relationships. So whoever's going to get this, and there's 6 stages of relationship, by the way. I can lay these out for you. I'm going to go out of memory here. But if you're listening to this and you're catching this either playback or live, you might be on YouTube, you might be on Facebook. But here's the bottom line. There's 6 stages of relationship. And number 1 is the one that we all aspire for. It's when we experience love and passion together. It's the holy grail of relationships. And I would say that there's a small percentage of people that actually get to that point where they have love and passion, and it's not like you feel it all the time, but you're able to cultivate it over a period of time that makes the relationship grow and flourish. Number 2, you have love, but you lost the passion. The sizzle is sizzled out. It's not, you don't have the passion anymore, but you have deep love. And those couples they'll stay together for a long time. And then you have the people that are just like, almost like roommates. Like, they just kind of exist. And that might be going on now. And maybe the husband or wife who went to work, now they're home together. And now there's maybe this weird dynamic on relationships. You're starting to think, like, who did I marry here? Who am I with here? Like, is this person for me? It doesn't seem to be there anymore. And you might have this weird dynamic. The 4th stage is that you're plotting your escape. You've made up your mind, and I'm just being real here. And I think we've all may have been, I know I've been in some of these places, but you're plotting your escape. Enough is enough. No mas. You're out. You're just waiting for the right time. Maybe this quarantine thing has just brought things to a boiling point, and you're like, I'm out of here. I'm leaving. Number 5 is you are not in a relationship and you want to be in a relationship. And then number 6 is you don't want no part of it. You don't want it. You're not in a relationship and you don't want one. So these are the 6 stages of relationships. I give credit to Tony Robbins. That's where I learned it. I don't know where it's originally from, but that's where I learned it. And so now you have a pandemic where it's completely changing the dynamic of a person's relationship. And what's happening is the relationships are getting progressively worse, or maybe they're getting deeper and more fulfilled. If I could magically pull out my measuring mouse and I could sweep across everybody and measure every single person, I would say that probably a small percentage of people are actually deepening their relationships during these times. And I would say that there's a larger percentage of them that are actually going through a tough time. And we may not hear about them right now because they're creating a sustainability. They're waiting because maybe the kids are home along with, the spouse or significant other, and they're trying to keep things together until they can get out, make a plan, get in the getaway car, whatever you want to call it. But maybe that's not the option. Maybe there's options. And here's the big thing I want to share, because, and this is, I have a platform called emergencylifecoach.com, and this is a great topic for that as well. Breakup, going through a relationship conflict, but we're talking about intimate relationships here during the pandemic, during the quarantine. And I titled this Flashpoint because Flashpoint can go both ways. Flashpoint can be, you've hit a flashpoint where things have come to a head. You found out something happened. Maybe you were abused, verbally abused. Maybe you found out some information and it was like, I'm out of here. On the other side, maybe there was a positive flashpoint where you realized you've been taking the person for granted. The person you're with is actually amazing, but you've been taking them for granted. So now you realize that you love this person. There's deep love there, but maybe you need to bring the passion back into the relationship. And this takes work. But I'll say this. Here's my hallucination, is that every relationship, I don't care who, you need time away. Come on, let's keep it real. I don't care how in love, how passionate you are. You need that time away to create that contrast. You need that time away so you anticipate the return. It's a balance, right? And now, so even the best relationships might be going through some stuff, but maybe if that's you, go for a walk, right? Just create some gaps, create some breaks in the action, set up some daily rituals where you can get away and realize that, when you're around anybody for any extended period of time, you're going to get on each other's nerves. It just is what it is. Come on, let's keep it real. There's no perfect relationship, but the good relationships, the ones where there's deep trust and they've done the work, the little things that they roll off your back. But the relationships that are troubled and stressed, the little things cause major problems because there's not enough there. They haven't done the work, or the relationship's dying, right? So what do you do? What do you do in this relationship soup? What can you do? The number one thing that I would say to do is avoid making an isolated decision unless you're in an extreme situation, right? There's extreme situations out there. I don't get into extreme situations. I'm not trained in those areas, but, extreme situation meaning someone's in serious danger. There could be a serious emotional stuff going on. That's something that is different. But my recommendation is to avoid making an isolated decision. And this is the challenge. And this is why I created Emergency Life Coach, because a lot of people don't have a place to go. They don't have a place to go to get support. They don't have a place to go to reach out. And your own emotions all on your own with no one there to help you process them is a very dangerous thing. It's not that your emotions are bad. It's that you need support. You need a soundboard. You need someone that can understand you and allow you to process what you're going through. And to try to do that all on your own, it's difficult. It's extremely difficult. So the best thing you can do is reach out to the right people, get some great consultation, if you will. But again, this wasn't even about getting into emergency life coach. I just happened to naturally progress there. But emergency life coach is a great option. I found that strong people typically don't reach out for help. And I was in this group, but I know going through some tough relationships on my own, and I've been, I could, if I go through some of the challenges that I've had in relationships, they can bring you to your knees. Some of the things that can happen can really bring you down. And it's not to blame because you had a hand in it, right? If you're in a relationship, there's two people involved. Again, barring extreme situations, in the normal day-to-day relationship situations, there's two people involved. And I found that most times is that blame will ensue. When blame continues, nothing gets resolved. It's only when each person can step up and own their stuff. And I'm going to give you some gold in relationships right here. And for some of you will get this. Some of you will get this right away. And some of you won't get this. And that is this. If the other person is 95% wrong. Okay, I'm going to say that again. This is gold. If the other person is 95% wrong in your mind, and you're 5% wrong, let's make it 99%. Why not? The other person is 99% in the wrong. And you had a little teeny bitty bit to it. You had 1% to do with it. The key, you need to own your 1%. Hold on. You need to own your 1% without drawing attention to their 99%. Because when you do that, you take your power back. One, you take full responsibility. So you take full responsibility. You take your power back. Number two. And number three, you set the example for the other person. Now, this doesn't guarantee a result because they may or may not follow suit. But if you give them enough time, space, and grace, they will eventually apologize for what they did, even if they're in denial in the beginning. This is powerful stuff, and this is stuff that I learned the hard way. Because when someone else in a relationship is doing you wrong, you got to understand that you are in it too. And the only thing that you have complete control over is your part in it. So the moment you get lost in the blame of what the other person did is the moment you give your power away. You take your power back to the degree that you take full responsibility for whatever part you had in it, albeit small, 1%, 2%, whatever it is, own it. Own it with everything that you have, with your full power, full responsibility. And I'm telling you, it is transformational. It is absolute flashpoint. It is breakthrough in a relationship. You become completely empowered. And I think the one thing that makes a relationship extremely powerful for you, and this is a really tough one, and I'm gonna wrap this up because I'm going longer than I wanted to, but this is in response to a friend who said, you got to do something on relationships because people are being stressed. Every other call's about relationships. So I trust that this will reach the right ears and that the right people will hear this. And maybe this is a trigger to at least awareness. You start to become aware that it's not right. you need to make some changes, and that you don't have to sit alone. You don't have to sit there and process all these emotions and try to process all of this on your own. That's a mistake. Reach out, reach out, reach out, reach out. We got platforms. We got things. We got people that can help you. So don't just sit. Don't just sit. Reach out, reach out, reach out. So the one thing, hey, Lucy, fellow insomniacs there. I'm ready to chill. I'm kind of chill, but I just been compelled to do relationships here. So the one thing that will make you incredibly powerful in a relationship, and not from an ego standpoint, this is not about ego. When I say incredibly powerful, the other person will feel completely free in your presence. I mean, don't you want to create a relationship in where the other person is they feel completely free to express themselves in your presence? Yeah, I mean, that's what I want. So here's the thing that you want to understand, and you will understand it intellectually. The process of living it is a much different dynamic. And that is to be completely engaged and fully detached. What does that mean? It means that you love the person even if they're no longer in your presence. You love the person and you're not trying to control the person. I did a video earlier and it said that control, so in a relationship, if there's manipulation, domination, and control, right, that shows up in relationships. What you want to understand, and I've heard people say, controlling. The person was controlling. Control comes from fear. So fear is the source of it, right? So if someone's controlling you, and these two things play together, it's fear. So that person is a fearful person who tries to control you. So the way you're free from that, you don't try to control. You accept the reality of the person I love can stay with me, or the person I love may leave at any point for no fault of my own. And there's nothing I can do about it. And when you can stand in the gap and love in both scenarios, you're completely empowered. The challenge is that when we're coming from fear of loss, we control. And when we're coming from a place of fear of loss, what happens? The thing that we fear will come upon us. So we must feel the fear and overcome the fear so we can be free. Freedom's just another word for nothing left to lose. Janis Joplin. Freedom is just another word for nothing left to lose. But if we're in a state of fear, and that's the way society has programmed us, to be in a state of fear of loss of money, fear of loss of relationships, fear of ill health. I mean, the list goes on, right? Think about the fears. I'm not saying the fears aren't real. I'm saying you are stronger than the fear. I'm saying you are wired to overcome fear. You might shake, you might cry, you might scream, you might get upset, but you're wired. It's already in you. That's powerful. I want you to think about that. And not to get into a creation conversation here, but we'll leave that aside. I'll just say you were created to overcome. You were created to thrive. What is it? What is the chances of life? You're like 1 in 400 trillion. What is it? 400 trillion? I forget the number. It's a ridiculous number. The chances that you are here right now. You're a miracle. So you're a miracle. You just forgot. You forgot. We forget because we live this life and we can feel oppressed. We can feel programmed. and we can be fed fear. Fear sells. People respond to fear. The news media sells fear because they may not do it directly. Maybe they do. I don't know. But here's the bottom line. It sells. So if I can create a headline that makes people aware, danger, there's something coming, it sells. So we're on the lookout for fear, but freedom is when we have nothing left to lose. And you know what? Let me read this quote. I'm going to get a little deep here. This is a quote I came across earlier. And I just want to share with you, like, one man's freedom from fear. So and that's actually fitting because today, Sir Edmund Hillary summited Mount Everest. Some of you may have seen that. Anyway, so I'm going to share this with you because I came across this earlier, and I thought, wow, and it wasn't appropriate to share earlier, but now that I'm talking about it, I think it's appropriate because we're talking about fear. So let me just grab it here. And how are you doing tonight? By the way, if you're listening to me now, it's 10 of 12 on here, way longer than I want it to be. Okay, so this is what Sir Edmund Hillary said. Are you all there? Got some folks on here? Okay, so this is what I'm talking about, fear, if you just joined, and fear that happens in relationships. But I want to talk about like being free from fear. This is a quote from Sir Edmund Hillary, and the reason why I'm sharing Sir Edmund Hillary is because today's the day he summited Mount Everest back in 1953. So here's what he says. I don't spend a lot of time thinking about dying, but I like to think that if it did occur, that I would die peacefully and not make too much fuss about it. Now, he's since passed. I think he lived to be 88. But that may sound like nonchalant, but this is coming from a man who already faced the possibility of dying because he summited Mount Everest. Nobody had ever done that before. He may have even walked by some dead bodies on his ascent to the top of Mount Everest. So imagine you're going to summit the tallest mountain in the world, and you're on the way to the top. You've never been there before. No one's ever been there before, at least in recorded history. And you see dead bodies on the way up that are frozen into the mountain. Like, that's facing fear. So now he overcame that fear and he summited Mount Everest. So he has, for him to say that, I mean, he's already been there. But the point is, and this is a gross example, but if we're not conscious, we don't face our fears, they can control us. And many of you know that, well, I'm not going to go deep in here now, but, well, I'll just mention it. So with the COVID thing and the news, it can start to pervade your consciousness. You got to step away from it. And it was early on, it was affecting me a little bit. I had to step away. And, to a lot of people's, whatever, I had some people say something because I went to Florida. I got on a plane and I flew. And, some split decisions about that, right? Some people think it's irresponsible and other people think, well, it's inspirational. So, I mean, it is what it is. It was done because I wanted to get away. And I felt like, and a window opened up and I followed my gut and I went. And I feel like I made the right decision. I'm not saying everyone should do that, though. I think everyone should make their best decision, but not from fear. Not from fear, from a place of courage. If you can get there, if you can't get there, get around the right people. And it's the same thing in a relationship. It's a successful relationship requires people around them that love them too. So if you feel like you're alone or you feel like you're going through a relationship tough time, I mean, I'm going to close on this. Reach out. By all means, reach out. I'm going to type in this emergencylifecoach.com here. I wasn't planning to do this, but it just seems appropriate. Emergencylifecoach.com. And on that note, I'm going to end this. If this moved you, stirred you up, served you, I trust that this is going to get to the right ears. people who are going through relationship stuff. And at the very least, if it draws awareness to the fact that you need to make a decision that's either going to deepen or improve your relationship, or in fact, you've been waiting too long and you need to make a move, start to make a move, because there's no sense in living in a place of suffering. I found that people stay together and they suffer. And that's not good for anyone. That's like forgive the example. It's like hanging onto a corpse. You know what I mean? And that's a gross example. But in some cases, it's time to go, right? It's time to grow or it's time to go. And in a lot of cases, it's time to go. It's run its course. And the pain of leaving sometimes is liberating over than sitting and waiting. And everyone's situation is different. So you need to look at that. But before you make a decision, don't make a decision in isolation. Reach out, because some relationships can be rescued. They can be resurrected. They just need the right ingredients and the right people to foster that, to make that happen. So this is Austin. I'm your breakthrough strategist. I want you to create a breakthrough in your business. I want you to create a breakthrough in your life. I want you to create a breakthrough in your relationships. I'm working on this every single day. It's my passion. That's why I'm on here at 5 of midnight. It's Eastern Standard Time, because the thing that I know, I need to do more. I need to do more. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to dial up my volume of the frequency of what I'm doing as much as I can. And eventually, as it reaches more people, hopefully I'll be able to do less. Just have, specific checkpoints, whatever, where people can check in, or more private communities or whatever. But I'm going to leave on this. Get free. Get free. Stay present. And move forward. God bless you, everyone. I love you. Do what's in your best interest, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.